All right. Good morning. What is up, everybody? Matt Modi here with the final live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I can no longer say we are live at this time every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as I am heading out of town today. And this is going to be the last weekend that we'll have first round games. The plan was always to go live through the first round. So we'll cry together at the end of the stream. As for now, it's all about cash and bangers for this last stream. As for the plan for the stream today, excuse me. So we got 2 games tonight. We'll talk about those. We got 2 games tomorrow. We'll talk about those. And because there's no stream on Friday, we'll talk about the games that are currently scheduled for Friday and Saturday. So as of right now, Cavaliers Magic is scheduled for Friday, and then Timberwolves Nuggets is scheduled for Saturday. Obviously, it depends. If the Celtics close out the series tonight, obviously that series will be over. We'll see what happens with the 2 games tomorrow in terms of what games will be, what series will be continued. But regardless, it won't help us for the stream because we're not going to have anything on Friday. I do think it's kind of interesting how we thought the West was going to be a bloodbath, right? All 8 teams in the playoffs were really good. Probably be the second best, maybe maybe third best in the East. Well, only one series in the West is even currently going. The Suns got swept by the Timberwolves. The Pelicans got swept by the Thunder, and the Nuggets won in 5 against the Lakers. So 3 of the 4 series are done, with the Clippers and Mavericks battling it out at 2-2. While the East, all 4 series are still alive. Both the Pacers and the Knicks could have closed it out last night. Were unable to do so. We'll see if either of them can close it out tomorrow, going into Game 6. While the Cavs took a 3-2 lead, so that one will at least be going on until Friday. And then, of course, we'll talk about all those games. And then, of course, we'll have our same game parlay at the end as well. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. Make sure to comment. And this is the most important thing, comment on the stream. I see Josh is in here, still down and out. So here again, sorry to hear that you blew out your knee, but I'm glad you are able to join us. Granted, I wish it was under better circumstances. But anybody in here, please get your questions, your comments, your concerns, whatever it may be in the chat. I'll make sure to respond to as many as I can. It's always more fun the more interactive these streams are. So if anything you can get in the chat would be great. And then you can find me on social media at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modi. But we can get into it. So we got 2 games tonight. The first one that we're going to talk about, I'm going to have 2 plays in the Heat versus Celtics game, 1 player prop for each team. First up, Jaylen Brown over 6.5 first quarter points, minus 102 odds at DraftKings. So the second I saw Kristaps Porzingis get injured, and this is maybe a bad thing, how my brain works, but I was watching the game. The second I saw him get hurt, I said, all right, next game I'm going to target Jaylen Brown's first quarter points over. Easy money. Now we'll have to see if he cashes it or not. But the look, I think, is phenomenal. Getting Jaylen Brown to go over 6.5 first quarter points without Kristaps Porzingis. Since I started looking into the first quarter market, which admittedly was at the end of the regular season, Jaylen Brown has been one of our go-tos for the first quarter, especially now that Kristaps Porzingis is out. I think it's a phenomenal spot to back Jaylen Brown in his first quarter point total. People are going to look and see that he's missed this in all 4 games. I'm going to politely tell those people that I don't care. Number 1, in those 4 games, 5, 6, 6, and 5 points. So 1 bucket away from cashing it in all 4 games. And most importantly, Kristaps Porzingis played in all 4 of those games. Excuse me, all 4 of those games. And now he's going to be out. And in game 4 specifically, Derek White blew up with 16 points in the first quarter. That's clearly an outlier. Even without Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White is not going to score 16 points in very many first quarters. And now with Porzingis out, guess who's going to steal all the shots in the first quarter? That is going to be Jaylen Brown, who consistently has a higher usage rate in the first quarter, consistently takes the most shots in the first quarter. Brown has played in 19 games without Porzingis this year. He's gone over 6.5 first quarter points in about 60% of the games, just under 60%, like 58, the exact number. He did it in 11 of 19 games. He also averages over 6.5 field goal attempts in those 19 games as well. That leads the Celtics in terms of first quarter field goal attempts. It's kind of interesting. I don't know what the logic here is, if it's something that they do on purpose, if it's like a strategy, or if it's just how each individual player prefers to start a game. But Jaylen Brown, he starts off the first quarter shooting a lot more, as I mentioned, whereas Jason Tatum takes a back seat in the first quarter and kind of defers to Jaylen Brown. And then if Tatum needs to cook, he does it in quarters 2 through 4. Maybe Tatum likes feeling out a game, seeing how it's going to go. Maybe Jaylen Brown likes starting fast with a bunch of jump shots. I'm not really sure the strategy. Doesn't matter. All I know is that Jaylen Brown shoots significantly more in the first quarter, especially now with Kristaps Porzingis out. I love this play. He's probably going to get another 7+ field goal attempts in the first quarter as the Celtics attempt to close this series out in 5. As long as he makes 3 field goals, with one of them being a 3-pointer, maybe he gets to the line, we're cashing this bad boy out. That's our first play. Next up, same game, Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, 10+ points, plus 102 odds per the betting pros consensus. You can see what DraftKings is currently offering Jovic. You might be able to get, last I saw, it actually might have been at plus 105. So we'll see what DraftKings has it as you see on the screen here. This one, I will admit, is going to take a little bit of a leap of faith because Jovic did not play a ton of minutes in game 4. He only played 16 minutes, but he played 26, 25, and 34 minutes in games 1 through 3. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. is out for this game as well. I don't know the logic of why Spo only played Jovic 16 minutes in game 4. I thought he played well in the limited playing time that he got, and I thought he played well in games 1 through 3 as well. Maybe he was trying to just switch things up for the sake of switching things up. I don't think it was a smart decision. Who am I to question Spo, who has a lot of playoff success? I did not agree with that. In games 1 through 3, where Jovic played decent minutes, he scored 10+ points in each of those games. 10 points in game 1, 11 points in game 2, 15 points in game 3. After 15 points after 15 points in 34 minutes, Spo decided to not play him in game 4 again. He only played 16 minutes. Well, now with Jaime Jaquez Jr. out, Jimmy Butler is still out. The point guard whose name is escaping me, Terry Rozier, that's who it is. He's also still out. He really doesn't have a choice but to play Jovic more minutes. I expect Jovic to play well when he has been given the opportunity. He's played pretty well. It's a small sample size, but if you look at the games in which he's played, even 20 minutes, whereas I think he plays higher than that if you just want to start at the low end of 20 minutes. He scored 10 or more points in 55% of the games that he's played 20 or more minutes. He did it in 14 of 26. So the above 50% hit rate with plus 102 odds. Granted, that's not the only thing we're looking at, but that is something. And that's also only with 20 minutes. Other minute projections that I looked at have him playing 32 minutes. Granted, I don't know if he's going to get to 32. Even if we just split the difference and call it an even 25, he's cashed 10 or more points in 65% of the games that he's played 25 or more minutes. So we're hoping that Spo does decide to play him more minutes. I think he will. He's really the only one that has done much for the Heat aside from Bam. So I like the spot for him to get 10 points. Even laddering him up to 15, I don't think is a terrible play. As of right now, I'm just sticking with the 10 points. That's our first 2 plays for the first game. You see DraftKings Sportsbook on the screen here. And the regular season is long behind us. We're almost done with the first round of the NBA playoffs. It's finally time for the real season of the NBA. That is the playoffs. You are not going to want to miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Taking you, starting with the play-in. Now we're close to being done with the first round. Then we move on to really when things get good. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Same game parlays, live betting, odds boost. You see a ton of promotions that DraftKings does. All of that you can get on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code NBA Bets. New customers can bet $5, turn that into $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code NBA Bets only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, next game tonight, Mavericks versus Clippers. We got a main line play. We got a play on each player, a player prop on each team. Main line, I'm going with the Mavericks minus 2.5. I was able to get this at minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. If you want the most up-to-date odds, I recommend checking out the Betting Pros app because you can see they'll give you the main lines for all the different sports books. You can kind of see where the value is and stuff like that. That's how I was able to find this 2.5. It's been a really good series. Game 4 was a microcosm of that. It was a wild game. The Clippers got out to a massive, massive lead. They did blow it in the fourth quarter. Then they got the lead back. Heroics by James Harden in the fourth quarter. Heroics by Paul George early and then late in the fourth quarter as well. Kyrie Irving blew up in that game. Luka had another bad shooting game. I like the Mavericks to win back, going back to LA. I think the series swings back in favor of the Mavericks. I don't want to get too much into everything because both of my player props kind of are talking points for why I like the Mavericks to win. But there are a lot of outlier performances in game 4. Now, Luka, games 1 through 4 have been outlier bad shooting performances for Luka. That included his worst shooting performance of the series, where he shot 10 of 24. He was 1 of 9 from deep. He shot poorly all series. We'll get into Luka. And then, Kyrie Irving did blow up in that game. He had 45 points, something crazy. So that, maybe that is a little bit of an outlier. But then we saw Harden score 33 points. We saw Paul George, I think, make 7 3-pointers. Just a wild game. But even when you consider how poorly Luka has played, the series is tied 2-2. That's with him shooting horribly, which we'll get into. I also don't see Harden having as good of a game as he had in game 4, which we will also get into. So all in all, I'm in on the Mavericks here, basically fading kind of recent results from game 4. With that thought in mind, I am taking Luka Doncic over 32.5 points, -112 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. The best offered price on this might be up to -120 now. You have to see what DraftKings is offering. But I mentioned a million times how poorly Luka has shot. This is the ultimate fade of recent results. This is betting on a guy like Luka who has shown up against this specific team in the playoffs before, breaking out of whatever shooting slump that he's currently going in. And so actually I mixed up, not a huge deal, but game 3 was his worst shooting game, not game 4. But regardless, 11 of 26 in game 1, 11 of 26 in game 2. He felt like that exact same shot line. 7 of 25 in game 3. That was his worst game. And then 10 of 24 in game 4. 4 very, very bad shooting performances from Luka, which is funny because his history against the Clippers suggests that he should be able to smoke this team and score a ton of points. That has not been the case. And he's been particularly inefficient shooting from 3-point range as well. 4 of 12 from deep in game 1, 5 of 14 from deep in game 2, 3 of 14 from deep in game 3, and then 1 of 9 in game 4. Just crazy, crazy, poor outlier shooting performances from Luka, who I am betting on him breaking out of that slump and having a good game tonight. Part of my logic is what he said after the game. He thought that he was letting Kyrie down with how bad he was playing. Feels bad. He wants to play. I mean, obviously he wants to play better, but the fact that he specifically said he feels like he's letting Kyrie down, when superstars have comments like that, I try to take notice in the playoffs. It's a little bit of not body language doctor, but not super analytical. But it was the reason I was on Donovan Mitchell last night. Donovan Mitchell came out after game 4, said he needed to be more aggressive. His shot attempts were unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. He came out and scored 28 points last night, going over his point total over under. With Luka, I'm expecting him to have a better game than he's had in games 1 through 4. And even if you look at how bad his shooting splits have been, and they have been bad, 100% of 4 games. 33, so would have cashed this over. 32 would have gotten hooked on this over. 22, bad game, just a bad game. And then 29, that's twice he's gone over 30 points. Once he got as close as you can possibly get, but not hit 30 points. And that's on horrible, horrible shooting performances. It's even if, like, his attempts are not going to go down, right? He's going to continue to shoot as much as he's been shooting. Even if he has an average shooting game, he would cash this relatively easily for us. And God forbid he has a good shooting game, just completely blows this out of the water. I mean, ladder him up to 40 points if he even has a above average shooting game with the shot attempts that he's getting. So I love backing Luka on this one. Next up, same game, fade play, James Harden under 22.5 points, -125 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I got burned by trying to fade James Harden in game 4. I faded his 3-pointers specifically. He went 4 of 4 in the first half, ended the game 4 of 5 from deep. I went back and looked since Saturday, starting on Saturday. There have been 5 different examples of players hitting their props the game after I bet them. Now, I had a pretty brutal stretch from, those who follow me know this, from Saturday to Tuesday to Monday. Finally had a good, Friday to Monday. We finally had a good day last night. But again, 5 separate times, guys have hit their props the game after we bet them. Shows me maybe that the reads haven't been terrible. It's just been unlucky in terms of the individual games. So Harden having a good game in game 4, I'm immediately going to want to go back to fade him in game 5, hoping that it can be one of those situations where the players hit their props the game after I bet them. This time we will be on it. He scored 33 points in game 4, 4 or 5 from deep, 12 of 17 from the field. I look at all that late career Harden in the playoffs and immediately want to fade that outlier performance. Now, I will admit he's been far more consistent in these playoffs than he ever was in his last 2 years with the Sixers, or his first 2 years, which were also his last 2 years. Far more consistent. Even with that in mind, he's only gone over this number in 2 of the 4 games. He scored 28 points in game 1, another outlier shooting performance, making 6 3-pointers. Went under in games 2 and 3. Granted, he still scored 20 points. In one of the games, he had exactly 22. But hey, we've gotten hooked before. Why not get hooked in a good way in this time? And then he blew up in game 4, scoring 33 points. If you look at the regular season, which I understand is not perfect comparing the regular season to the playoffs, but Harden only scored more than 22.5 points in 16 of 76 playoff games. His over-under in the regular season, even in games without Kawhi, was like 16.5. So he's been much better in the playoffs, as I mentioned. But only once in the regular season did he clear over 22.5 points 3 times in a 5-game stretch, which is what we're asking him to do tonight. I know that these unders can feel gross, but I really like basically betting the opposite of outlier performances. We cashed it with Miles Turner last night. We cashed it with D'Angelo Russell on Monday night. Fading guys after outlier shooting performances generally works out for you, especially in the playoffs when scoring is down in general. Defenses are ratcheted up in general. The refs don't call as many fouls in general. All that stuff leads to less scoring. And if you look at the playoffs and you consider last year, Harden has played 15 total playoff games. He's only gone over 22.5 points in 5 of 15 playoff games. Not once did he do it in 2 straight games. Granted, he has scored 20 points in all 4 games this year. He did not do that in back-to-back games last year. So as I mentioned, the consistency is better for Harden this year than it ever was with the Sixers. But even with that, he still went over 22.5 points in games 1 and 4, missed it in games 2 and 3. I think he's going to miss it again tonight, hopefully coming through for us by not scoring a bunch of points. Josh, going to be a sweaty one, absolutely. Sometimes those are the way to go. Matthew, how do you like Luka? I'm guessing 4 threes, and Tatum 6 rebounds, minus 144. Kind of juice, but the attempts. Oh, yeah, I see you corrected yourself. Yeah, 6 rebounds for Tatum. He's gotten like 11 every game, basically. I don't love the minus 144 odds. I generally don't try to play anything that steep because if something like, especially in a parlay, we are expecting multiple things to happen. Something wonky might happen. I would probably not. I think both of those plays individually hit, but it's just risky, especially with the odds. That's not personally how I like to go about things. All right, so we are done with the games tonight. Before I get into the next one, I want to talk to you about a 1-year premium subscription giveaway that we are running. If you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's your place to start betting smarter, not harder. All you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Right now, click that subscribe button and then comment below on this video. You do both of those things. That's how you can be entered. A winner will be announced right here on the channel, so make sure to turn notifications on so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and you can come in and claim your prize. 1-year premium subscription giveaway. Comment, subscribe. Good to go. All right, we're moving on to tomorrow. First game up tomorrow is the Bucks versus Pacers game. And I think the Pacers win and cover. I need to make sure that Dame and Giannis are both out. If that is the case, I will take the Pacers spread. As of right now, I'm sitting it out. What I am playing and have already locked in is Tyrese Haliburton double-double, minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Sorry. The real play here is Haliburton getting to 10 or more assists, but you can get better odds on taking him to record a double-double than you can on him getting 10-plus assists, which is why I went the double-double route. In the off chance that he doesn't get to 10 points, which that happened in game 1, but it has not happened in the 4 games since, so be it. That would be a very, very unlucky situation that I am not expecting. His scoring has been up since that gross game 1 performance. And I think this is a phenomenal buy low opportunity for Haliburton assists. It's an awesome discount that we are getting. Every game, or the last 3 games, I should say, his over-under has been set at 12.5. That is a 3 assist difference from how it has been priced at previously. And I get why he hasn't gone over in 2 straight games. He had a pretty gross game 5 specifically where he only had even 8 potential assists. And then game 4, he also went under having 4 assists, but 13 potential assists. But having 2 bad games in a row doesn't immediately scare me off of Haliburton assists, especially when you consider the discount that we're getting. And look at the first 3 games, 20 potential assists, 21, 26 potential assists in those 3 games, going over in 2 of those 3 games, with 1 game just having an outlier poor conversion rate from potential assist to actual assist. That also kind of happened in game 4. He had 4 actual assists on 13 potential. Now that 13 potential assist number is low. We're going to need that to be higher, but that does suggest some regression to the mean in terms of having a poor conversion rate, now going back to a good conversion rate. And the Bucks didn't play Haliburton that much differently from games 1 to 3 to 4 and 5 either. It's just kind of the ebbs and flows of how a playoff series goes from game to game. And, after missing it 2 games in a row, I should say, after getting punched in the mouth last night in a situation where they could have closed it out. It's a young team on the road in a closeout game. I wasn't surprised to see that they weren't able to close it out. I'm expecting things to swing back the other way, heading back to Indianapolis in game 6 now they can close it out at home. I like backing Haliburton. And again, it's a play on his assist, but he could get off chance 10 rebounds. In the comments it says it was at 10.5 assists yesterday. Maybe the source I was looking at is incorrect, because I was looking at a website that prices previous props and it had it listed at 12.5. Maybe that's bad data, but even so, we're getting maybe not 3 assist discount, but still a discount nonetheless. All right. Next game, we're heading to Knicks versus 76ers. First up, I'm just taking the Knicks spread, Knicks +4, -1, -110 odds per the betting pros consensus. This series is wild. Basically what it comes down to is the team that's getting the points. I'll go ahead and make that my play. Twice in 5 games has the favored team won and covered. It happened in game 1 where that was a close game throughout. The Knicks just pulled away at the end with free throws and stuff. And then the Sixers in game 3 down 2-0, they won and covered in game 3. No other team that was favored covered. Last night, the Knicks were favored. They lost straight up. Game 4, the Sixers recovered. They were the favorite, and they lost straight up. Every single game has been close. Even the game the Sixers won by... Sorry, my I don't know what that was. My watch tried to say something. Anyways, even the game that was an 11-point game in game 3, at no point were you like, oh, this game's over. At no point have the benches been emptied in the fourth quarter. It's been close every single game. When that happens, I will take the team with the points, especially on the Knicks side, who just have a lot more avenues to victory than the Sixers. Yeah, Tyrese Maxey was amazing last night. It's unlikely we see that type of performance again. Tobias Harris scored 19 points after not even being able to get to double figures every game. Even if you consider the fact that, okay, Embiid is going to play better, maybe he does early. It's unlikely he's able to keep it up for an entire game, which he hasn't been able to do the past 2 games. And the Sixers learned that you can't play him the entire second half. In game 4, they tried that, and he was terrible in the fourth quarter. They tried that again in game 5. He was once again terrible in the fourth quarter, and then they eventually gave him like 1 minute of rest. If Maxey doesn't have just a miraculous stretch in the fourth quarter, the Sixers lose last night, and that, I think, is more unsustainable than Embiid possibly not performing well. So the way this series has gone, again, it's really just taking the team that's getting the points, especially, the Knicks, like I said, they just have so many more avenues to victory than the Sixers. They're tougher. They for the first time, didn't get a bunch of offensive rebounds. Maybe the Sixers learned to box out, or maybe that's just kind of how game 5 went. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won straight up. I sure as heck love getting the spread. Next up, so we're sticking in the same game. I know I just roasted him, but I am taking Embiid over 7.5 first quarter points, -115 odds at DraftKings. We don't know what we're getting out of Embiid. I'm expecting him to at least show up in the first quarter, especially after playing one of the worst games that we'll ever see from him. Granted, you could say that about a lot of playoff performances, but last game was especially bad. Even with that, like this series, he's gone over 7.5 first quarter points in 3 of 5 games. So he missed it last night where he just looked terrible from the jump. And he missed it in game 3, but that was the only game of the series where he did not play his full allotment of minutes in the first quarter. And that was because of foul trouble. Normally he plays the full first quarter. He did not in game 3. He also scored 50 points in game 3. It was his best game of the series by far. So clearly it wasn't as though he was bad all game. It just didn't happen to be in the first quarter. More often than not, it is going to be in the first quarter for Embiid. And if he does struggle again in game 6, My assumption, or not my assumption, the guess is that happens in the second half again, like it happened in games 4 and 5. I'm guessing he comes out with a ton more energy in game 6 after being embarrassed of his performance in game 5. And to give him credit, he did play well, much, much better defensively once it came into overtime. I don't know what happened. Maybe Tyrese Maxey fired him up, but his defense was much better in overtime than it was the entire rest of the second half. And I'm over the excuse making for Joel Embiid. He did miss shoot around with a migraine, and the migraines are a symptom of Bell's palsy, which is what he's currently going through. And he was horrible in the playing game against Miami when he was dealing with migraines. Maybe that had something to do with it. Who knows? All I know is that Embiid, even in a series where he's been hit or miss, has hit this first quarter over 7.5 in 3 of the 5 games. And we are getting a pretty big discount from what you normally see as first quarter his first quarter points priced at. That's what we're looking for. So that's what we're going with. That's it for the games tomorrow. Before we get into the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. If you are looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than the exclusive Discord community, the exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers providing you with free picks for whatever the sports season is currently going on. As of right now, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, soccer, golf, baseball. As my dogs agree that they love the Discord. Get in on the action, connect with like-minded sports betting enthusiasts, elevate your own betting strategy with insights from the pros. Join us in the Discord today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. Embiid being 1 turnover from a quadruple double. I think that he did have one last turnover, but they ended up attributing it to somebody else. I think that the scorekeepers were doing Embiid a little bit of a favor, not giving him that 10th turnover, because I'm positive that he had one that they took away. And Mike Thompson bangers, let's hope so. All right, so for Friday's game, Cavaliers versus Magic, I'm taking the Magic spread -3.5, -109 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Despite the fact that the Magic lost game 5, watching that game actually made me feel a lot better about them moving forward in game 6. They finally showed up on the road. They had their best offensive performance on the road by far. And my guess is that game 6 goes similar to how games 3 and 4 went. I think that the Cavaliers offense is going to struggle. The Cavs didn't even get to 90 points in either of the games played in Orlando. And that's been a theme all year. For whatever reason, the Magic defense at home is significantly better. And I do think since game 2, they've solved some issues offensively as well. Part of what they've solved is just Paolo Banchero cooking. He had a phenomenal game in game 5. He was amazing. And part of that is also having Franz Wagner play a more facilitator role. He's done a pretty good job. In this series as a facilitator. His assists don't look great in games 1 and 2, but he had 13 potential assists in each. Then in games 3 through 5, 8 assists, 4 assists, and 6 assists on 14, 7, and 8 potential assists. Now his potential assists did go down a little bit, but the conversion rate stabilized after a horrible conversion rate in games 1 and 2. Now, I'm not playing Franz assist because the books have caught up to it. It's priced at 4.5, pretty juiced towards the over. I'm more so just using that as an example of commenting how the Magic seem to have figured some stuff out on offense. And they have shown in the past that they show up significantly more at home versus on the road. I'm expecting something similar to happen today. So I like the Magic winning and covering on Friday. And then for Saturday's game, technically it's not round 1, but it is a game on the schedule. We are talking about the NBA, so might as well include it. Timberwolves versus Nuggets. I'm taking the T-Wolves +4.5, -107 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I really like the Timberwolves to at least cover game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they won outright as well. I just see a Timberwolves team that is on a mission. I think they come out of the gate. They're a young team. They don't know any better. They're going to come out of the gate with a ton of energy. And I think they're really, really going to make an effort to steal game 1. Now, not saying that the Nuggets are not going to try, but I do think that the underdog, you see examples of this a lot where the home team, the favorite team, the Nuggets just won the championship last year. They spend game 1 not going all out trying to win. They spend it more so figuring out the matchups, figuring out, okay, if I make this adjustment, what adjustment is the other team going to make? Kind of feeling out the series. You see this a lot, especially with teams. I mean, like this is, I mean, not that the Nuggets are LeBron, but you saw LeBron do this all the time. And last year, people are going to see that the Nuggets won in 5. The Nuggets are on record saying that this series against the Timberwolves is a series that bothered them the most, just with the T-Wolves' size, the physicality. They caused them a lot more trouble than a 5-game series would suggest. I think even more so than the Lakers series, even though they swept that one. And that was a way, way worse Timberwolves team that was missing some key players due to injury. Also missing, it was just coming off of the Rudy Gobert, like someone breaking their hand, punching Rudy Gobert, whatever the crazy story was. And Anthony Edwards absolutely blew up in that series. He's more than capable of blowing up in this series as well. I ultimately do think the Nuggets win the series, but I think that the Timberwolves are at least able to come out and keep game 1 close. I wouldn't be surprised if they stole game 1 either. So I like getting the 4.5 points for them. And now it's for our same game parlay. And yeah, so real quick, Azana Books posting fans at 3.5 assists last game has me questioning who makes these lines. Yeah, they're at 4.5 now, heavily juiced towards the over. And yeah, despite the fact that the Suns took 2 games and the Timberwolves only took 1, they had a lot more trouble with the Timberwolves. And all right, anyways, now we're on to our same game parlay. It's plus 260 odds. I watered down the props a little bit, admittedly going against what advice I gave earlier, but at least this one is for plus money and they're not as watered down. It's in the Clippers versus Mavericks game. Leg 1, Mavericks money line. I like them to win and cover. For a parlay, I'd rather be safe, take their money line straight up. Luka Doncic, 30 plus points. Watered down this one a little bit from his over-under at 32.5. He hit 30 points in games 1 and 2, missed it in game 3, scored 29 in game 4 of horrible shooting performances. If he just has an average shooting performance, he gets us to 30 points easy. And then James Harden under 22.5 points, fading his blow-up performance in game 4, where he scored 33 points, not expecting him to be able to keep that up. Having him go under 22.5, I think, is a really good play. That was my same game parlay of the day. If you are looking to build your own same game parlays, check out the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder. When you're placing SGP bets, you're combining multiple bets within a single NBA game and using the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder, you can leverage insights that they offer like correlated bet recommendations, EV ratings, cover probability, much, much more. Perfect your strategy by analyzing Betting Pros overall correlation grades and projections. Stay ahead of the curve by following the latest same game parlays placed by fellow bettors. Start building winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that is all we got. Appreciate everybody rocking with me today. Appreciate everybody who is rocking with me this entire season. Appreciate everybody for everything. Very appreciative. Excuse me. Let's hope we have a great day today, cashing out a bunch of bangers. I unfortunately will not see you on these live streams the rest of the playoffs, but I'll still be doing player props via the shorts that you see every day, so you can look out for those. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to do so on my Twitter handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modai. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let's everybody have a great day, great weekend, great life, and have a good one.